Many people know that Sir Sean Connery was the first actor to play James Bond. He went on to star in the next 7 movies in the series, but recently some truths about his life came out which shocked his huge fan base. Let's look into the parts of Sean Connery's life that we know and don't know. Thomas Sean Connery was born on August 25, 1930, at the Royal Maternity Hospital in Edinburgh, Scotland. He was named for his grandfather on his dad's side. Soon after, his parents had his brother Neil. Their dad, Joseph Connery, worked in a plant and drove a truck. Their mom, Euphemia McBain McLean, was a cleaner. Connery was Christian and came from a Scottish family. His father was a Roman Catholic and his mother was a Protestant. He and his brother lived at 176 Fountain Bridge as kids. The building has been torn down, so it no longer stands. In grade school, Connery was very short, but by age 12 he had grown very quickly. By age 18 he was 6 feet 2 inches tall. Connery couldn't go to school because he came from a poor family and his parents had money problems. He quit school when he was 9 years old because he had to work to help support his family. As a child, his first job was as a milkman for St. Cuthbert's Cooperative Society. There was a talk in a taxi in 2009 that Connery remembered. This past Edinburgh Film Festival, I took a cab. The driver was amazed that I could name every street we went by. "Why is that?" he asked. "I used to bring milk around here when I was a kid." Following the end of World War II, in 1946, Connery chose to join the Royal Navy. He got 2 very noticeable tattoos while he was there. On his formal website, it said that these things were important to Connery. Unlike many tattoos, this one wasn't just for fun. His tattoos show that he has always loved his family in Scotland. One tattoo is a tribute to his parents and says Mom and Dad. The other tattoo says Scotland Forever, which says it all. He learned how to be a gunner at the Naval Gunner School in Portsmouth and on an anti-aircraft team. In the end, he was made a naval seaman on HMS Formidable. But in 1949, Connery was taken out of the service because of health problems. He was told he had a peptic ulcer, which is a disease that runs in his family and is usually found in men. He went back to part-time work after being released. His different jobs helped him make ends meet. He was a truck driver, a lifeguard at Portobello swimming baths, a worker, and an artist model for the Edinburgh College of Art. He used to clean coffins for a while before getting other work. At the time, though, modeling was a good way to make money because he was paid 15 shillings an hour. At the time, artist Richard DeMarco was a student and made a few early portraits of Sean Connery. He said that he was very straight, a little shy, too beautiful for words, and like Adonis. He started getting in shape when he was 18. In 1951, he trained with Ellington, who had been a British Army gym teacher. He was in the running for Mr. Universe once, though different sources give different years. On his official page, Connery says he ran in 1950 and came in 3rd. Other sources say he competed in 1953 and came in 3rd place in the junior class because he wasn't tall enough to participate in the tall man class. Soon Connery stopped weightlifting because he kept losing to Americans in competitions because they were bigger and stronger. He complained that they weren't going to the gym like he did, which would make them lose muscle and strength. He really loved football as a kid. He played for Bonnyrigg Rose. He got a chance to play for East Fife. And while he was on tour, he played in a local game against a team coached by Matt Busby, who used to lead Manchester United. Reports say Busby was impressed by how strong he was. Right after the game, and offered Connery a deal worth PS25 a week, which is PS882 today. "I realized that a top-level football player could be over the hill by the age of 30, and I was already 23. I decided to become an actor, and it turned out to be one of the smartest things I ever did," Connery says. To start, Connery worked backstage at the King's Theatre in late 1951 to make extra money. One of the participants at a bodybuilding competition in London in 1953 said that auditions were being held for a production of South Pacific. Connery got a small part as one of the chorus boys. When the show got to Edinburgh, he was cast as Marine CPL Hamilton Steeves and was helping out 2 of the young stars. His pay went from £12 a week to £14 and 10 shillings a week. The show came back the next year because people really liked it, and Connery was given the lead part of Lieutenant Buzz Adams, which Larry Hagman had played in the West End. Connery stayed in Edinburgh while the movie was being made. They wanted to kill him. The Valdor gang is one of the worst in the city. He stopped them from stealing his jacket in a billiard hall, which is where they struck him for the first time. 6 people from the gang were following him home when he left the hall. Connery led them to a balcony at the Palais de Danse that was 15 feet high in a sneaky way. His attack on the gang members was all by himself. He grabbed one by the throat and another by the arms and hit them over the head with his fists. The guys in the gang treated him very well after that fight, and he became known as a tough guy during the run of the show at the Opera House in Manchester. This was around Christmas time in 1954. An American actor named Robert Henderson helped Connery become interested in theater. Robert gave Connery copies of Hedda Gabler, The Wild Duck, and When We Dead Awaken by Ibsen. He also told him to read works by well-known authors such as Tolstoy, Joyce, Shakespeare, Proust, and others. Robert pushed him to take voice lessons and even helped him get parts at London's Maida Vale Theatre. It wasn't his first time making movies. Along with Errol Flynn and Anna Niggle, he was an extra in Herbert Wilcox's 1954 musical Lilacs in the Spring. Even though Connery was hired as an extra, he wasn't made of money and had to work as a part-time babysitter for writer Peter Noble and his wife, actress Mary Ann. Every night, he made 10 shillings. At Noble's house, Connery met Hollywood star Shelley Winters on a terrible night. She said Connery was one of the biggest, most handsome, and manly Scotsmen she had ever seen. Later, she drank beer with the Connery brothers many nights. During this time, Connery was living at the home of TV host Lou Gardner. Robert turned out to be Connery's real friend and helper. He got him a part in a £6-a-week Q Theatre production of Agatha Christie's Witness for the prosecution. It was there that he met and became friends with another Scot, Ian Bannon. Next, she played Pentheus opposite Yvonne Mitchell in The Bacchae at the Oxford Playhouse and A Witch in Time at Q. Finally, she played Anna Christie opposite Jill Bennett in Eugene O'Neill's play. During his time at the Oxford Theatre, he got a small part as a boxer in the TV show The Square Ring, which was directed by Alvin Rakoff from Canada. Alvin gave him several parts in the movie The Condemned, which was filmed in Dover, Kent. As early as 1956, Connery was in the play Epitaph and had a small part as a bad guy in an episode of the BBC TV show Dixon of Dock Green called Ladies of the Manor. This gave him small roles on TV shows like Sailor of Fortune and a special episode of Jack Benny that was filmed in Europe. Connery's big break came when he played James Bond, the British secret agent. He didn't want to commit to a movie series, but he knew that if the movie did well, it would be great for his business. Connery got the part that would change his career thanks to Dana Broccoli, who is married to director Albert Cubby Broccoli. People said that she was the one who convinced her husband that Connery was the best choice. James Bond's author, Ian Fleming, had doubts about Connery's casting. He said, "I'm looking for Commander Bond and not an overgrown stuntman." Fleming also pointed out that Connery is 6'8" and muscular and that a Scot was not well refined. But after the successful Dr. No premiere, Fleming changed his mind because his girlfriend Blanche Blackwell told him that Connery had the right amount of sexual charm. He was so impressed that he gave the character Connery's family history. Fleming wrote in his 1964 book You Only Live Twice that Bond's father was from Glencoe in the Scottish Highlands and was Scottish. The first 5 Bond movies made by Eon Productions were Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Thunderball, and You Only Live Twice. Connery played 007 in all of them. After leaving the part, Connery came back for the 7th movie, Diamonds Are Forever, in 1971. Connery's last role as James Bond was in Never Say Never Again, a version of Thunderball released in 1983 and produced by Jack Schwartzman's Talia movie. All 7 movies did well at the box office. The American Film Institute named Sean Connery's performance as James Bond the 3rd best hero in movie history. He gave a great performance as James Bond thanks in large part to the direction of Terrence Young, who helped him improve his style while using his physical beauty and presence for the action. Trentz took Sean under his wing, according to Lois Maxwell, who played Miss Moneypenny. He taught him how to walk, talk, and even eat while taking him to dinner. The training worked out well. A week after Dr. No came out, Connery got thousands of fan letters, and he became a big sex symbol in movies. Following the release of the movie Dr. No in 1962, the phrase Bond, James Bond, became a famous phrase in the Western world. Peter Bradshaw, a film writer, says it is the most famous thing any character has ever said about themselves in a movie. Connery wore it with a cold, sneering air, dressed for the evening, and with a cigarette hanging from his mouth. It was clear that the opening was a challenge or a way to get someone to do something bad. In the early 1960s, Sean Connery's James Bond was the most dangerous and sexiest character on film. In the scene with the sharks in Emilio Largo's pool that was filmed for Thunderball in 1965, Sean Connery's life was in danger. In the 1965 scene from Thunderball, where Connery was with the sharks in Emilio Largo's pool, his life was in danger. He was scared when he read the story because of this threat. For Connery's safety, Ken Adam had to make a special plexiglass wall around the pool. However, it wasn't stable, and one of the sharks was able to get through it. He had to leave the pool right away. Connery became a star-playing Bond, but he got tired of the part and the pressure it put on him. He said, "I am fed up with the whole Bond thing, and I have always hated that damn James Bond. I want to kill him." One of Connery's best friends was Michael Caine. This is what Caine said about it if you were his friend back then. "You didn't bring up Bond, many people think of him as James Bond, but he was and still is a much better actress than that role." People would stop and say, "Look, that's James Bond," as he walked down the street. That was really upsetting for him. While working on the Bond movies, Connery also appeared in other movies like Alfred Hitchcock's Marty in 1964 and The Hill by Sidney Lumet the next year. According to film critic Peter Bradshaw, these are Connery's two best non-Bond movies from the 1960s. In the middle of the 1960s, Connery played golf with Scottish businessman E.A. Maxwell Stewart. This friendship led to Connery being able to make and host the documentary film The Bowler and the Bunnet in 1967. The movie was about the Fairfield experiment, which was a new way of dealing with workers' rights that happened at the Fairfield Shipbuilding and Engineering Company in Glasgow in the 1960s. Stewart began the trial, and George Brown, who was Harold Wilson's first secretary in 1966, backed it up. Connery's later movies like First Knight, Just Cause, The Avengers, and The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen did not do well at the box office or with critics. He did, however, get good praise for his role in Finding Forrester. He also got a Crystal Globe for making a great artistic addition to world cinema. Channel 4 did a poll in the UK in 2003 to find the 100 greatest movie stars. Connery came in at number 8 on their list. Connery was very upset that The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen didn't do well. He could tell that things were going wrong with the production while it was being filmed and said that the director, Stephen Norrington, should be locked up for being crazy. Connery worked hard during the cutting process to save the movie, but in the end he quit acting because he didn't want to go through that much stress again. He said he couldn't understand the story and turned down the part of Gandalf in the Lord of the Rings movies. It is said that he was offered $30 million and 15% of the movie's international box office earnings, which would have added up to $450 million. Another thing he turned down was the chance to play Albus Dumbledore in the Harry Potter series and the Planner in the Matrix trilogy. In 2005, he did voiceovers for the video game from Russia, with Love in the Bahamas with recording producer Terry Manning. He also drew a picture of himself for the job. Connery said he was glad Electronic Arts had asked him to be Bond's voice actor. After getting the American Film Institute's Lifetime Achievement Award on June 8, 2006, he made it official that he would no longer be acting. People said that Connery decided to quit because he was fed up with the idiots who are now making movies in Hollywood. Rumors that he would be in the 4th Indiana Jones movie were shot down on June 7, 2007, when he said, "Retirement is just too damn fun." In 2010, a copper bust of Connery was put up outside the Scottish Club in Tallinn, Estonia. The club is made up of Estonian Scots and a few Scots who live outside of Estonia. In 2012, Connery came out of retirement for a short time to play the lead role in the Scottish animated movie Sir Billy. Connery was the executive director of a longer version that ran for 80 minutes. Fans learned that he liked the Scottish football team Celtic FC when he wasn't in front of the camera. His father, who has been a fan of the team all his life, introduced him to the team. Late in life, Connery moved his allegiance to Rangers FC, a bitter rival of Celtic, after becoming close with David Murray, the chairman of the team. He really liked golf, and his friend Ian Stewart taught him how to play. Before shooting the 1964 James Bond movie Goldfinger, Connery took golf lessons from English professional golfer Peter Alliss. In one scene, Connery played golf as Bond against gold magnate Auric Goldfinger at Stoke Park Golf Club in Buckinghamshire. As golf course creator and record major champion Jack Nicklaus put it, he loved the game of golf. We played golf with Sean a few times because he was pretty good. Sean and well-known driver Jackie Stewart helped me open the PGA Centenary course at Gleneagles in Scotland in May 1993. About relationships that happened during the making of South Pacific in the mid-1950s, Carol Soppel was a Jewish beauty with dark hair and a ballerina's body. Connery dated her, but their relationship didn't last because her family didn't like it. After that, he went out with Julie Hamilton, who is the daughter of feminist documentary director Jill Craigie. Hamilton thought Connery was a terrible person at first because he looked and seemed rough. She wasn't interested in him until she saw him in a kilt and said he was the most beautiful thing she had ever seen. He was also interested in jazz artist Maxine Daniels, whom he met while working in theater. He went up to her, but she told him she was married and had a daughter. From 1962 to 1974, Connery was married to actress Diane Cilento, but they split up in 1971. It was a boy, a kid named Jason Joseph. He dated Deanne Cannon, Jill St. John, Lana Wood, Carol Mallory, and Magda Konopka in the early 1970s when he was no longer with his wife. From 1975 until his death, he married the French-Moroccan painter Micheline Roquebrune again. People also thought very highly of him for being great at other things in his life besides playing. In Kyokushin Karate, he was given the special rank of Shodan, or First Dan. On July 5, 2000, at a service at Holyrood Palace in Edinburgh, the Queen made him a knight. He was up for a knighthood in 1997 and 1998, but because of his political ideas, he wasn't given one until 2000. When things got this good, it was easy for Connery's secrets to get out. In her book, which came out in 2006, Salento, one of his lovers, said that Connery had abused her mentally and physically while they were together. In 2006, he had to cancel a speech at the Scottish Parliament because of a scandal over claims that he supported women being abused. He said they were not true. He did say in 1965 to Playboy magazine, "I don't think there is anything wrong with hitting a woman, but I don't think you should do it the same way you hit a man." It was also said that he told Vanity Fair in 1993, "There are women who take it to the wire." In other words, they want the final confrontation. They need to be hit. It was said that Connery didn't think any kind of abuse of women was ever okay, no matter what. This happened later in 2006. He was married to Micheline at the time, but he had an affair with singer and songwriter Lindsay DePaul in the late 1980s. After the fact, she said she felt bad about having an affair not because he was married, but because of how he felt about violence against women. There was a lot of trouble for Connery because of how he thought men should treat women. He joined the centre-left Scottish National Party SNP because he is from Scotland and worked as a film crew in Glasgow's docks in 1966. The SNP wants Scotland to be separate from the UK. In 2011, he said, "The bowler in the bonnet was just the start of a journey that would lead to my long association with the Scottish National Party." He came to the party in person and gave money to it. In 1967, he wrote to George Leslie, the SNP candidate in the Glasgow Pollock by-election, saying, "I am convinced that with our resources and skills, we are more than capable of building a prosperous, vigorous, and modern self-governing Scotland in which we can all take pride and which will deserve the respect of other nations." In 2001, he quit giving money to the SNP because the UK Parliament made it illegal for people from outside the UK to give money to UK political activities. Some people said he was a tax refugee, but that wasn't true. Connery showed proof in 2003 that he had paid PS $3.7 million in taxes in the UK from 1997 to 1998, and again from 2002 to 2003. Some people said that he would have paid a lot more in taxes if he had lived in the UK all the time. Before the 2014 vote for independence in Scotland, Connery's brother Neil said he wouldn't go there to urge people to vote yes because he was a tax refugee and could only stay there for a few days at a time. When Connery sold his home in Marbella in 1999, the Spanish government began to look into taxes that he might not have paid. The thieves were said to have taken £5.5 million from the Spanish government. The police then found no evidence against Connery. However, his wife and 16 other people were charged with trying to steal money from the Spanish government. In his sleep on October 31, 2020, at home in the Lifford Cay area of Nassau, Bahamas, he died. He was 90 years old. Everyone knew he had died because of his family and Eon Productions. No one knew why he died, but his son Jason said he had been sick for a while. The next day, his wife told him that he was dying of dementia. TMZ got a copy of Connery's death certificate a month after he had died. It says that he died at 1:30 a.m., that same day of pneumonia and lung failure. His body was burned, and in 2022, the ashes were spread in Scotland in places that no one knew about. A poll in the UK Sunday Herald in 2004 called Connery the greatest living Scot in 2011. A big poll called him Scotland's greatest living national treasure. At the 2024 Edinburgh International Film Festival, a prize was made every year in his name. The audience chooses which of 10 new feature films shown at the event each year will win the PS 50,000 Sean Connery Prize for feature filmmaking excellence. It is revealed at the festival who won.